Karsten, are you at all a hockey person? Is that, I know your dad is a season ticket holder.
Yeah, I mean, I can't remember if we ever went to any games together when I was a kid, because I know my dad would like invite whoever, because he had his like season tickets and we used to go all the time. And he was really trying to make me a hockey kid, and he ended up with a swimmer who does a podcast now. So he really
we
didn't
really
end up
should
with
have
that.
flipped our adolescence, because I would have loved to be in Minnesota playing hockey, and I was from Florida where you could swim everywhere. Everyone has a pool.
Yeah, but I mean, I grew up like going to hockey games. I like watching hockey. I'm not very good at skating, but I mean, it is what it is. But
that's the thing about hockey. That's the thing about hockey. Like, most sports don't require of you that you kind of master this obscure skill, skating, to be any good. It's like you can be a really good skater and still be a bad hockey player, but you'll never be a good hockey player unless you're a great skater,
right?
Or you're Dave Andrewchuk.
I don't know who that is.
I don't know who
that he was. Sorry, that was just a really obscure hockey joke. He was like on Buffalo in Toronto in like the 80s and 90s.
Yeah. See, that's the gap in my hockey knowledge. My hockey knowledge really begins and ends with my daughter Jing Jing. She took an interest in hockey, and I was like, I guess I'm going to need to find out about hockey, and then I started playing much later than I probably should have.
Wow, I assumed you and my dad, because I know my dad played hockey. I thought you guys like played together or something.
No, okay. We skate. Your dad and I skateboarded. We were skateboard buddies. That was our
I know thing. His big trick he always does is like the handstand on the board, and he doesn't do it a lot anymore. But
that he doesn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, he could do that. I had two friends who could do that. That was not my thing. My thing was like leaping off my board when it was at top speed, and then wiping out and getting cherries all over both my knees when I fell down at like 30 miles per hour, just getting cherries and all over my body.
So did we ever introduce?
We haven't introduced you yet.
Yeah,
no,
this is like a crazy cold open podcast. Love it.
Right.
But today we have a guest, a very special guest. He's been in bands like Trip Shakespeare, the New Standards, and most notably the bassist for Semisonic. Is it semi or semi?
Tough when you have to say it, right? I don't know. Say it however you want.
Semisonic.
I guess Semisonic is how I say it.
That's how I said it too. And then Karsten was saying Semisonic, and I'm like, isn't that Semisonic?
Not. Yeah.
Every this is like every radio interview that we did as we were kind of coming along. It's like semi, well,
Yeah.
That was how they all kind of went. So welcome to that world.
Yeah. Well, welcome.
See,
I still haven't said his name, John Munson.
John Munson.
Yeah.
John Munson.
Good to have you here.
Yeah. See, I'm like, so I'm 30. So I'm at the age, unlike Karsten, where I remember Closing Time and its original radio play, and it was played so often. And I would say it's one of my favorite songs of the 90s.
Oh, that is awesome. That's very nice to hear. Yes, it did get played a fair bit, and that is, that's I certainly reacted badly to that if I felt like some song was like dominating the radio, and it's like, I have heard this song enough now. We're moving on, and it just never works that way, unfortunately. Although, in this particular case, fortunately, but it was a straight up hit, which was it was very fun to be a part of something like that. But it definitely is one of those things where it's a ride that you can't get off. Once that stuff starts happening, it's like whatever you think you want to happen, that's you have lost control. It's just gonna what's going to happen is what the game says is going to happen. So you just kind of hang on and you hope that you can hold on to your ego.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure like I would have heard the song plenty, like regardless, but because, you know, you and my dad, like he loves, I mean, he played the song a lot around me, and like I found out about it through him. He's like, yeah, it was my buddy John's like song and band. And like it was the first album, I think like all like 3 Semisonic albums were like on my iPod, and they were like the first music that I was like into. And it was just weird. Yeah, it was just weird like growing up and being like, oh, like everybody knows this song. But I thought it was like my own little secret thing, but no, everybody's heard the song.
Yeah.
It's kind of, it is weird. It's just you kind of think that it'll go away, and maybe it will someday, but it seems to go through cycles of, it just kind of keeps hanging around. And there's like even lately more evidence of that, which is just maybe this moment right now that we're having together is evidence of that. And there's also a guy who's he saw the Song Exploder that Dan did about closing time, which is
I heard that.
Kind of
That's
fascinating, really. And it's all 100%. That it's all very accurate. You know, it's also very, very personal. You know, I mean, some people had glimpses of what that story was. You know, people had been aware of the fact that, hey, this song is not only about getting kicked out of the bar, but it's also somehow it's about giving birth to a baby or something. You know what I mean? But then I think Dan kind of revealed more about what he was going through at the time that he was writing that song, and that it really was a lot about the experience of his first daughter's birth, and the impacts that has had on his life at that time, and then ongoing, you know, which is was a real it's quite a story. And this film director heard that and said, I think that maybe there's a film in that. And so there's a script being written right now, and so maybe there's going to be a movie of the song, which to me would be so weird, but I think it's going to happen.
Yeah, I heard about this, and then I saw your Twitter, and I saw one of your tweets recently was, I'm under threat of being portrayed in a movie. The only thing that could be more horrible would be to be called upon to act again. I would like the movie to happen, but maybe the bass player mysteriously disappears or something.
Yes, those are also true words.
I mean, what else have you acted in? I
well, a friend of mine and Matt Wilson, who is Dan Wilson's brother, wrote a screenplay and got a movie produced that starred Matt in particular, and then I was the Jeff character in the film. I was the sidekick. But it starred a lot of songs that Matt was writing at that time too, and it was I don't know what you would call it. It was kind of like a legal drama with music. It was a hard thing to articulate, I think, in a way, which is always, you know, somehow kind of dooms a project if you can't sum it up in like a sentence. You know, you made something that is possibly too complex for the American audience. But it was called The Last Word, and it was several people's kind of first foray into you know, a feature-length motion picture, which is a huge undertaking, you know, and it's wise to have people around who have done that before. If you ever think I'm going to make a feature-length picture, the first thing to do is go like, but maybe I should make a couple of shorts first to just see what the process is. But it was fascinating. But for me, it was like, I'm just no actor. As soon as the camera is on, it's like, what should I do with my hands? Do you want, is this good? Should I do this? How do I address the camera? What should I be doing? You know, it's very hard for me. I'm not a natural by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah. Go. Please. You say what you're going to say?
I really, the only thing that I would hate more, I mean, and I, I use that word loosely. I mean, the scarier thing to me would be to have somebody else portray me in a movie that is like actually a huge production, and that it's done really successfully, and then people come away with the idea that this portrayal is who I am. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In every
I
detail.
I've thought about this a little bit with like, I don't know if you saw Bohemian Rhapsody, if you have like a take on these. I feel like there's a new trend in film of like a lot of like musical biopics. Like, as someone who's like been in that like space firsthand, like, do you have any opinion on kind of those kinds of movies, if they're like
I think it's
cliche
really,
or
I think it's fascinating.
Mhm.
I think anybody who is interested in the aesthetic experience of being transported by an artistic enterprise has to love music, because I feel like of all things, music communicates in the most kind of instantaneous way of any art. I mean, it somehow, it's like powerfully direct. And so I feel like even authors, or poets, and now screenwriters and filmmakers are striving to somehow communicate the experience of music using their mediums, and incorporating kind of the experience and the artistic dynamic of music making in their mediums. But it's a very fraught thing to do, because really nothing can do music like music. Music will always win in that. And so
Yeah.
when I see these biopics about music, or like seeing actors kind of trying to be like musicians, I'm like, they just don't get it.
Yeah.
They don't know what they don't know what it is. There's no way that they can kind of like portray a musician in a weird way. It's just always seems phony to me. I've very seldom seen it feel genuine. And then the other thing about it is, I understand the fascination with trying to kind of somehow communicate the magic of the musical experience, because it really does to me, as a person who's been engaged in it my whole life. I understand what's the mystery of it, and the fascination with the experience, but it's not a thing to be captured in a way. You know what I mean? It's something too and fleeting and evanescent to really be captured in that way. I'll be very happy to see the first thing that truly succeeds in that way.
Yeah.
But I wonder if it can happen.
Yeah, that's the thing, is you have such a unique perspective on that, and that, a lot of these films, people will go away very satisfied with it, but that's because they don't have, that kind of knowledge that you have, where you're like, oh, that's not what that's like at all. And for them, it's like, it's kind of ignorance is bliss, I guess.
It's like close enough, right?
Yeah. It's like, yeah, that's probably what it's like. I don't know. I'm not a rock star.
Well, it's interesting because like, using Bohemian Rhapsody as an example again, it's like, and we'll get to Miracle eventually. I just like, I'm curious on your thoughts on this. It's just, it's weird how people are like, they don't know if like Freddie Mercury would be in support of a movie like that about his life like that. And then there's like Rocket Man, where it's like Elton John is the executive producer and is calling all the shots on this movie about him. It's like, it just seems like the kind of subject that's really hard to get right in film in a completely like unbiased but also accurate way, which is why
I would rather watch 6 hours of Get Back.
Yeah.
That would give me the satisfaction. If I wanted to see what music making was truly like, I would want to be bored for 4 hours and amazed for an hour and a half. That's because that's truly what the experience of music making is like. I feel like Peter Jackson has gotten the closest, and the reason that he did is because, you know, he had the most amazing accomplices to help him demonstrate what the magic of music is like. I was weeping as I was watching that, because I was just like, this is it.
Yeah.
You know, this is it. And I think for some people, they were just like, oh, it's just, I couldn't understand what was so, you know, what was cool about that. It was just so boring. And I'm like, yes, that's what it is.
Right.
It's a lot of that.
Yeah.
But it's worth it. It's utterly worth it for the moment when you hear McCartney starting to pull the song "Get Back" out of thin air. You know, and you see that. You see the creative moment actually happening right before your eyes, and it's just to me utterly amazing. And to see the spark that it lights in the other musicians, you know, to see Lennon's not even there, but it's George and Ringo just kind of watching, and you can see that them light up when they realize this is something good. This is something good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's to me is that I mean, the other thing that's about music movies is they're always trying to kind of capture what is the chemistry and dynamic that happens among people that can lead to this, to a band, you know, to music being made in that way. And that is the amazing thing about it. It's that chemistry and the magic of knowing when something is happening, or when this is something that this is who we are. Let's throw in with this idea. You know, creative people like throw out a million ideas, and a million ideas get thrown out. But then when that one that pops through, and you're just like, oh, this is actually really, really good. We got to follow through with it. With this, there's magic in that.
Yeah, that's a great. I don't know how I didn't think about Get Back earlier, but that is, I think even as someone who's like not in music, like I don't make music, I was still very just kind of inspired. And I was like, yeah, that is like, you can just like see the creative process. In full display, which is really cool.
And that's the crazy thing, is because it's hard generally to see someone have an idea. So then, you know, in those like brief moments where then they're like converting the idea into something that's like tangible. I don't know, that's the kind of, I guess, magic of it, where then there's also times when they're clearly thinking, but it's just you're watching people think, which probably is not always the most interesting visual.
Right.
This episode is also brought to you by NordVPN. Now, if you didn't already know, a VPN stands for Virtual Private Network, a service that protects your internet connection and privacy online. It creates an encrypted tunnel for your data, protects your online identity by hiding your IP address, and allows you to use public Wi-Fi hotspots safely. Now, Jeff,
I'm excited about this one, Karsten.
Right.
I actually am already a NordVPN subscriber.
As am I.
Yeah. So, you know, just for a lot of people, VPNs can be useful for, you know, giving you that extra added security when you're browsing the web. You know, public hotspots like you were talking about. But NordVPN, incredibly reliable as well. I've never had a problem with it, and I've used it for a long time.
Definitely. And I just think everyone should have a VPN to start with, especially in today's age. A lot of sketchy stuff going on the internet, especially if you're spending a lot of time online. It's best to, you know, step up that privacy game with a VPN.
Yep. And NordVPN specifically, you can use it on every major platform: Windows, Android, iOS, Mac OS, Linux, Android TV. It's very fast. I've never had any latency problems. There's 5,300 plus servers in 60 countries.
That's so many.
Yeah, you can connect to a server that's close to you for like a even faster connection, or you know, as we'll talk about shortly, connect to a server that's far away for other specific reasons.
Right.
And it's really easy to use. They have like the app where you just click on, you know, the server you want or like the country you want, and it connects you instantly.
Exactly. Yeah, it's super easy to use. So it's like, at this point, why not just have one, you know?
Yeah. Now, I think that the part that we're most excited about is the element for movie watchers, as you are, and sometimes I watch movies.
Yeah, Jeff will watch a movie,
I'll watch
once
a movie
week
every
or
now and then.
so. Yeah.
So yeah, do you want to talk about your experience watching movies with NordVPN,
Absolutely.
Karsten Runquist?
I watch a lot of rare, hard to find movies. And, the best way to do that, because, sometimes not something won't always be available in the US, but you can always use a VPN, specifically NordVPN, to access like Netflix, Hulu, Prime, Mubi, like any other streaming service to another country where they'll have access to other shows and movies that you can't find in the US. It just takes a click, open the map, click on a location, and you'll be connected in seconds. It's just that easy.
Yeah.
You can also find the services for a lower price as well. Sometimes in other countries.
Oh yeah.
It's
I have
a lot
heard
cheaper.
that people do that, which is
Yeah.
I never even thought about that.
Super convenient.
Now, for me, Karsten, I got a tremendous amount of use out of NordVPN, and it was while I was traveling.
Yes.
See, you're talking about like, oh, you're in the US and you're like, oh, this movie I want to watch is on Netflix Argentina.
Yeah.
So then you connect to Argentina and it works perfectly. I was connecting back to the US from traveling abroad in Europe so I could watch Hulu.
Yeah.
Because Hulu is like a US, I think, only.
Right.
So I was connecting back to watch all my US subscription services while I was traveling, and it worked great. I watched Disney Plus, Hulu, Netflix, US versions of all that in Europe. And I think that genuinely, after the dozens and dozens of times of me connecting, I think I had an issue literally one time.
Yeah.
And somehow, all I had to do was just click a different server and then it worked again.
Exactly. It's super reliable.
It was super
reliable.
Great.
Yeah.
It was. So if you are someone who likes to travel, you're planning on traveling and you want to stay connected to your US streaming services, it's a great way to do it.
Exactly. And no more bandwidth throttling based on traffic type. Since NordVPN encrypts all traffic, your internet service provider can't slow down your streaming speed either.
Wow.
I mean, the perks just keep coming, it just never ends.
I highly recommend the service. I had a great time using it. Watched a lot of shows.
Yeah. Get a VPN. Get NordVPN.
And at nordvpn.com/Karstcast with code Karstcast.
Yeah. You get an exclusive NordVPN deal. It's risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. Yeah.
That if I may, it does kind of speak a little bit to the film Miracle in a way.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I love that movie. I just love that movie. And the thing that I really love about it is that it's a little bit about obsession and heartbreak, and also kind of a mass media moment that kind of captivated America anyway, at least, maybe the world to some extent. It was just such an underdog story. And you kind of get, I feel like the director, whose name escapes me right now, and Kurt Russell really effectively captured the kind of obsession of Herb Brooks and his desire to create a new way to kind of have success against what seemed like an immovable object in terms of the Russian hockey team. It just all they ever did was win. But he was like, I think I know how to do this. I just need to find the right people to kind of put together to believe in my idea, and we're gonna make this thing happen. I just love that. It's just, it's such a great story. It's like someone has to believe something, and someone has to believe in that person, and then something amazing can happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the thing that helps me to kind of believe in the future is like, I don't know how to solve what's going on in the world right now. I feel so sad about so much of what's happening in the world right now. But part of me believes that someone will appear who will have an idea to lead us out of this, and we'll find our way free from the morass of all the bad ideas that are kind of currently dragging us down.
Mhm.
It seems possible to me because I see it happening in small ways all around me. So I'm like, all we need is some way to do it in a bigger way, to find
Yeah.
something that's sufficiently compelling. I'm sure
Yeah.
I'm very naive. I'm sure I'm terribly naive, but it helps me to remain hopeful.
Yeah. No, we need Kurt Russell now more than ever.
I mean, his other great film, of course, Escape from New York, is another
Mhm.
example of this same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got a theme.
Yeah, Carson, do you want to read, just for anyone else listening, the synopsis for
Oh,
Miracle?
yeah. We usually kick off the movie thing with a synopsis.
Oh,
and-
sorry, I didn't mean to.
No,
speak
no,
too
No.
aggressively.
That was
it
actually
is-
a great kind of monologue to introduce the film anyways.
Yeah. When college coach Herb Brooks is hired to helm the 1980 U.S. men's Olympic hockey team, he brings a unique and brash style to the ice. After assembling a team of hot-headed college all-stars who are humiliated in an early match, Brooks united his squad against a common foe, the heavily favored Soviet team. And that's pretty much it. It's got a dog. While
I did not even realize there was a gigantic.
there's a bass
Is that a
behind him.
cello?
No, I think that's a
That's
bass.
definitely like a cello.
Is it a cello or a bass?
Yeah, I think it's a cello. That's awesome.
It's a really good room, regardless.
Yeah. Oh, there's the.
There we go.
I just had to kind of put
Yeah.
the
No,
break
that's
and
that's
go.
Is that a cello behind you?
It's a bass, actually.
told you it's a
poking
bass,
out of my
yeah, it's
head,
a-
probably.
Mm,
it's a beautiful room.
Oh, thanks, man.
yeah. Do you think there's any reason why when it's talking about like oregano or something, it's pronounced herb, but then when it's a name, it's herb?
You know, in England, don't they call it herbs?
They could. Yeah.
You know what? You're right.
Yeah.
I think that's true.
Anyway.
I guess you know what? It's probably because it's short for like Herbert, right?
Right.
That makes more sense.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask like why you chose the movie, but you kind of answered it for us. I did watch it for the first time today, like this morning.
This is the first time you've ever seen it?
First time. The thing is, when I told my dad we were watching this, he's like, "Oh, Miracle, it's great." So I can't believe I haven't seen it until now, but I think the way you like talked about it is kind of like weirdly relevant, this movie. Like it just in how, I don't know, it seems like all odds are against the team the entire time. And yeah, I don't know. There's something like
and
kind
also
of
the
magical about it.
primacy, the sudden kind of primacy. I'm gonna let my dog go here and greet my family's coming in the door. The sudden primacy that Russia has seemed to kind of like take in world affairs right now. I mean, kind of the building, that was a thing that was kind of building during the Trump presidency, and then suddenly it just is kind of leapt to the forefront of all Americans' minds. And what's kind of weird is that, I mean, Putin is just like, he's a cartoon of the kind of sinister Soviet kind of like KGB, I mean, it's just like it's cartoonish. It's ridiculous, So yeah, it does feel kind of weirdly relevant right now. Plus he's a huge hockey fan. Did you guys know that?
Oh, I did. I've seen the videos of people letting him score.
Right.
Wow.
Just gross. I mean, it's like, I mean, that's just, it's like that thing of like, did you guys ever hear the thing about the North Korean leader, Kim Jong-un, kind of like, Kim Jong-un played a round of golf and he scored an 18. He got 18 holes in one.
Yeah.
The story. It's like, Okay, but that didn't happen. But that's just the idea that you would even publish a story like that is just so
Right.
weird.
I mean, there's also the many stories of Donald Trump like cheating at golf where he'll like if he hits it in the rough, he'll like kick his ball back to the middle.
That I don't know if your show is probably not a lot about politics, but when I saw him driving his golf cart onto the green, I was like, this is not a guy that I would probably want to play golf with.
Yeah.
Who rides his golf cart onto the green.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
weird.
So yeah, I don't know if you're somewhat of a golf fan.
Yeah, the leisure arts have played an outsized role in my life. I think my acquaintance of Karsten's dad has something to do with that. He's also a master of all things leisurely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I played golf a few years ago in Florida, like around where I'm from, and I got to a tee box and I heard this like really loud like music being played out of a different golf cart, and I look behind me, and it's John Daly, and playing with his son, who is like phenomenal.
That's the Bluetooth speaker. I mean, there really is a time and a place, and it's definitely not on the golf course for me.
Yeah, I mean,
everyone should do what they want, but please conduct yourself in a way that is respectful of the people around you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're definitely not going to say anything to John Daly, though.
I might have, but I'm glad you didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask you, John. I didn't know that a lot of this. I mean, I'm not really caught up on like hockey knowledge.
Yeah,
I don't know about this. I didn't know it, like a lot of it took place in like St. Paul, or that like a lot of them were from. I mean, it's not surprising because it's hockey, but how do you feel about Kurt Russell's accent in the movie? Do you remember much about it? I mean,
I mean, it didn't even really strike me as particularly Minnesotan, to be honest. It was I don't know. I mean, it didn't. Yeah, he didn't. He wasn't hitting all the kind of classic notes. Like, might have been better than might have been better than some of the accents I heard in Fargo. And I mean, Joel and Ethan Coen should know something about like what a Minnesotan sounds like. I mean? But that stuff was like so crazily overdone, I thought, in that movie.
I watched Fargo with a friend who has met my mom, and when we watched it, they were like, "Oh my God, she sounds just like your mom," and I'm like, "No, she does not." I don't. I'm like, "What do you think we sound like?" I mean, I love Fargo a lot because it does have like a lot of kind of jokes that only Minnesotans would get, but like, yeah, I agree. The accents are way overblown in that movie.
I mean, those guys, though. I mean, so amazing.
The best.
Joel and Ethan Coen, really, they just are it for me. I just that their worldview is to really, I think it really does capture a Minnesotan point of view. I mean, it's bigger than that, but it resonates for sure. When I see their work, I'm like, oh, I can totally relate to this. It's like the worst is just around the corner. It's going to get bad. That's kind of I think it's a real Minnesotan point of view.
Mm-hmm.
Can you relate?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the first time I watched like any of their movies, even if it's clearly not like a Minnesota movie, it's very clear to me something about the way they direct and write feels like it comes from Minnesota. I like the way you put it, of like there's like a fear just around the corner, kind of like paranoia.
It's on a flaming motorcycle, and he's really upset, but I don't know why. Or he's got a bolt gun, and he's gonna wipe out the world, even though it's a Cormac McCarthy book. But the portrayal of that character, it's so consistent. It's that's a great meeting of minds there. Cormac McCarthy and the Coen
Mhm.
brothers. I think No Country for Old Men is just
Yeah.
scary and brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. Back to Miracle.
Yeah. So
Sorry.
Karsten, I actually do want to explain something about Miracle.
Okay.
Because I know like a decent amount about this. But essentially the reason why the US was like such a massive underdog is because professional players weren't allowed to play in the Olympics. So the NHL, which is where all the best US players play, none of them were allowed to play. Now the thing is that the Soviet team all their best players played like in, the USSR, but they weren't technically professional because they were kind of funded by the government.
Mhm.
So all of the best Soviet players could play,
Mhm.
and none of the good US players could play. So they had to find a bunch of like college kids.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it was just a team
because the Olympics had at that time had to be amateur. I guess that there is
Yes.
some taking some aspects of the story for granted. An interesting sidelight on that is that the NHL players from Canada, at least, and maybe the US too. At that time, the best NHL skaters were all Canadians.
Mhm.
Yeah.
They played against the Russians, and they couldn't. They didn't. I think they ended up maybe beating them, but it was dirty pool hockey. It was like not clean hockey. It was just like it was a show of kind of Bobby Clark, kind of like, he busted the ankle of the player. It was just
gooning it
really,
up.
really horrifying. Basically, it was college kids playing professionals, which is in hockey is really a thing that is not fair because it's such an intensely physical game.
Yeah.
Yeah. And additionally, universities aren't even the number one pool of talent that the NHL even draws from. Like if you're playing at a university, you're generally not going to be in the NHL. It's like a pretty low percentage of college players because there's a Canadian hockey league that is for like junior players, and that's really the step below the NHL for the actual talent pool.
Yeah, and a lot of US players go up there too. Yeah. Exactly right. Yeah, so it was, I mean, that it really is. It was like it was a purely amateur group of people that Herb Brooks kind of molded into his what he felt was going to be an effective squad to play against them. And I mean, you see what he did to those kids to get them up to speed so they could have that they could chalk up a win against the Soviets. And I mean, you almost want to throw up on the ice yourself when you see what he did to them. I mean,
Yeah.
it was so punishing. But
Yeah.
hey, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah.
I think these might be like a little disconnected, but I don't know if you saw that documentary a few years ago, Icarus, on kind of the Russian doping scandal at the Olympics.
I didn't see it, but I'll definitely be looking to check. So the Sochi Olympics.
Yeah. Which I know is like way after this movie, but I'm like, that's just something it's on the mind. I guess it's like kind of relevant.
Yeah. I'll definitely go and check that out.
Yeah.
And for anybody who's like, oh, I didn't know that about the hockey thing. At this point, the only people who are watching this anymore are people who are really hardcore hockey fans, I'm guessing. But
yeah,
or hardcore Semisonic fans.
Or possibly. I didn't understand he was so interested in hockey. But the ESPN 30 for 30 about the Russian hockey team is fascinating. It's really, really good.
Yeah.
It's very worth checking out if this is of interest to you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing is like, also people don't understand that the way the Russians played is like a very admirable way to play hockey. They were like a very big finesse team. And I think in some of the retellings of this story, they're viewed as like this like big bruising team, but that's totally like the opposite.
No, they were the ones who were about speed and playmaking,
Yeah.
and they had a great goaltender,
Yeah.
So
we've Jeff and I on this podcast have talked about a surprising amount of hockey movies, and by that I mean we also talked about the Mighty Ducks and
and also Mighty Ducks 2.
yeah,
And D3.
yeah. It was Most Valuable Primate as well,
Yeah,
which
it's where
is the one
the
where a
chimpanzee
monkey
plays hockey.
plays hockey.
Oh my God, that sounds fascinating.
Yeah, and the I mean, I was gonna spoil it unless you were gonna really watch this.
Go spoil it for me.
Yeah, so here's the thing. At the end of that film, they expect us to believe that a small child switches place with the chimpanzee and no one notices for like an entire period of hockey.
I mean, it's
This
hockey.
this is a problem with Hollywood right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I was gonna ask, is this your like favorite hockey? I feel like this is the most serious hockey movie we've watched. Clearly, the bar is pretty low, but
Yeah.
Well, Slapshot is
Slapshot's a
right.
classic.
It's in a class of its own. I feel like anybody who like any like aspiring hockey player watches Miracle and they just love it. It's just it's inevitable. I guess it is my favorite. I've watched it more than once. I can tell you that.
yeah,
And I do like it because I do view it as being about more things than just the 1980 Olympics. I think it tells a story about the country, and it tells a story about, international relations at that time. It's kind of that my wife is showing me that my bread is definitely risen here, and so I'm gonna have to go soon.
Okay, yeah.
But I guess I like that it for a Disney film, it really does have depth. And it was an interesting time in the country. It's kind of like hard to understand if you didn't grow up in the time where nuclear war actually seemed like a thing that might possibly happen, how scary that actually was.
Yeah.
And
Now, that is starting to be something to be concerned about again.
Perhaps, although I mean, not that I'm not worried about it now, but I feel like the idea of worldwide destruction almost seems like a thing that is inconceivable to anybody. It just doesn't seem. I mean, my mind is not put at ease at all by the idea of like a tactical nuclear strike. I feel like we don't want to go down that road, but I mean, that wasn't even something that was considered because those kinds of weapons didn't even exist at that time. It was kind of like all or nothing, and it was truly scary. I mean, I would have nightmares about it when I was a kid that were wake up screaming nightmares. It was really truly scary. So in some ways that film does cast a light on those times. It puts those times into kind of like a personal context. You know what I mean? It human sizes it in a way that I think is pretty interesting.
Yeah, I think it was also really interesting the way the film treats the Soviet team, where it's not, it contextualizes it within the U.S. Soviet relations at the time, but it doesn't like vilify the actual team.
Yeah.
Yes, I think that's true. And at the end, after they get beat, they do the thing that they do. They actually handle it with grace. It's like, we just got beat. That's that one thing that they talk about with hockey all the time. It's like these teams compete. It's like a tooth and nail, and it's a brutal competition. And at the end, they shake hands, and it does feel like, at the end of the Stanley Cup, that is a moment of pure sportsmanship that I don't really see in a lot of athletics, to be honest. And I appreciate it, because I think vying all out and then realizing there's nothing more to be done and shaking hands and just kind of going on and hoping for a different outcome the next time. It's
Yeah.
I mean, I appreciate that about hockey.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I've always been fascinated because there's a lot of people that aren't sports fans, but I mean, sports really, there's so many stories it can tell about like individuals, about, you know, collectives, because it is kind of like a reality show in a way where you're just, I don't know, it's a hard thing to
I
fully
agree.
encapsulate.
I agree. Although I really can't tolerate reality shows for the most part.
Yeah.
Except
Yeah.
with one exception. I have one exception. Do you want to know what it is?
Yes.
Yeah.
Alone. I like that show. Do you know that show?
I haven't heard
No.
of Alone. No.
Okay, well, if you, I think there's like 10 seasons possibly at this point. Basically, it's
Yeah.
like they drop people into very remote circumstances. They get like 10 things that they get to pick to, you know, hopefully survive and thrive in the setting, and they kind of film themselves in these circumstances. So it's kind of like Naked and Afraid or whatever that show is, but it's more
but they're
like,
not naked.
they're not naked, which is weird. I mean, I think maybe they could be naked, but it's also it's only one person at a time, so it doesn't have any kind of that. Like, I wonder if they're getting it on off camera or anything like that. You know?
Which I think that's Naked and Afraid. That's the whole premise of the show, is they want you to watch it because it's two people that don't know each other who are naked together.
I know it. It's so pathetic and weird. No, Alone is more like it's all survivalists at this point. You know, it's turned into like Battle of the Survivalists, which is kind of not as good as it was in the early seasons. It seemed like the people were more like taking a flyer on whether or not they could survive in these remote settings or not.
Yeah.
And some of them, it's just amazing. It's like some people can last like for 70, 80 days, and other guys are out of there, or gals are out of there after the first night. It's just, it's fascinating.
Wait, there's people that last 80 days?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Do they get like a prize for that?
Yeah, like I think it's like $1 million now.
Wow. I mean, I'd do it.
You try
personally, yeah.
You might be out of there after a night.
Yeah.
You still record your YouTube videos from like a jungle somewhere?
Keep up with the podcast.
That's basically what it is, man. It is. It's exactly like that. It's basically it's like podcasting from like, you know, Nowheresville and trying to, you know, get enough, you know, eat enough mice so that you can survive. You know? Yeah. It's interesting. I recommend it. I think you might enjoy it.
Great. Well, I don't want to keep you too much longer if you have your bread.
I should. Bread has been a thing, and I'm making the dinner rolls for Easter tomorrow. So I have to come.
That's
through.
the priority. That's the priority.
Yeah. It has to be. I know you understand.
Well, thank you so much for being on. Is there anything you want to promote, give a shout out to before you head out? Anything big?
It's a time for me right now of lots of scheming for the next thing.
Yeah.
I mean, the next thing is not immediately imminent. Mm-hmm. There's going to be a new Semisonic record coming out, which I'm excited about, you know.
Amazing.
We've done a lot of work on it already. I think it sounds damn good. And you know, it's if you like pop music, I think it's going to be for you. But other than that, right now, I think I don't have it. I have lots of schemes. Look for schemes in the future.
Yeah,
that's great. Well, thank you so much,
Karsten,
John.
Jeff. It's great to hang out with you guys, and you know, to all the rest of you. Well, I hope you've learned a lot about hockey.
Yeah.
I know. I was really excited we got to talk about hockey. I was like, I'm right. This is all me, Karsten.
And I loved your film, Karsten. I thought it was very thought provoking. And
thank you so much.
And really cool. And I have to say to people who are watching, the other thing that I had kind of thought we could possibly talk about was an animated short that was featured on the New Yorker kind of film stuff that they're doing, which I think they're doing amazing stuff there. They're doing featuring lots of documentaries and animated shorts and things like that. And there's one about lost children basically in China that is such a beautiful film. And if you ever want to have me back on, I'd love to talk about that.
Yeah, we'd love to have
Yeah,
you
we would
back
love
on,
to have you back
to be
on.
honest. This was great.
All right, man.
Great.
Nice chatting, guys.
Attention listeners, are you ready to be blown away? You asked for it and they listened. Our friends at Manscaped just relaunched the Ultra Smooth package. It's back, baby. Your new favorite tool and complement to the Lawnmower 4.0 to keep your boys smooth while looking and feeling their best. The specialized groin shaving kit is here to help you buff, protect, and shave your most sensitive areas. It's time to crop that bush of yours and get right to the roots with a discount just for you from Manscaped. Get 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com with the code KCAST.
That is KCAST, KCAST. The legends who introduced the electric ball hair trimmer are bringing back their razor so you can be set and trimmed front to back. Men, you no longer have to borrow your partner's razor for that precise trim. Karsten.
Yeah.
You know how hard it is to shave close to the skin without ingrown hairs.
One of the
Cuts.
hardest things life has to offer. It's one of life's greatest challenges. And
yeah, you've previously had some embarrassing stories you've shared in these Manscaped ad reads.
Oh yeah. I mean, I used to be a swimmer and we had these really tight Speedos, and you obviously that covers the important areas, but you also get a lot of, stuff peeking out, and it just, you can see the burns. It's just bad. It's just bad.
Are you shaving to reduce like drag?
You do have to shave to reduce drag. Yeah.
Like, is that really something where like if you were like a little hairy and you lost by like a half second, your coach is like, I told you should have shaved
those pits. Yeah. No, we literally before every like state meet, the whole team shaves their entire body. It's like a ritual.
You do shave your own body, or do you shave each other's?
We shave our own body, but when it comes to heads, you shave each other.
Okay.
But that's getting into the nitty gritty. The point is, even if you're not a swimmer, that is quite the challenge, is trying to shave close to the skin without ingrown hairs, cuts, or hard to reach places.
When you were a swimmer, you wish you had this.
Oh, absolutely. So step 1, grab your handy Lawnmower 4.0 and give your boys the classic trim to your liking to get the loose hairs out of the way, and then take out the Manscaped Ultra Smooth package to make your package the perfect package this summer.
And step 2, the crop exfoliator, infused with ingredients that can soothe, clear, and keep the skin on and around your groin feeling refreshed. The crop exfoliator can help reduce the risk of ingrown hairs in your delicate places.
Step 3, crop gel. See where you're shaving with our unique clear shaving gel just for the groin. With 4 essential oils, it's like a spa treatment every time you shave.
And finally, step 4, it's time to shave. The crop shaver was designed for shaving the groin area with confidence. That's pretty important to have confidence when you're shaving there.
Very important.
The 3 precision blades include extra wide lubricating strips and pivoting head for the ultimate groin grooming experience.
The crop shaver is not your average razor. It's smaller, thicker, with a micro comb bar that allows for the best shave possible from any angle. Beach balls are meant to be smooth, and now yours can be. All 3 of these vegan, cruelty-free, and sulfate-free products are included, so you know your manhood is in good hands and without compromise. It's time to get up close and personal with the best tools for the job, the Ultra Smooth package from Manscaped.
Get 20% off and free shipping with the code KCAST. That is KCAST, KCAST at manscaped.com. That is 20% off and free shipping with the code KCAST at manscaped.com. Smooth out your fellas with the relaunched Ultra Smooth package from the fellas at Manscaped. Your balls will thank you, Karsten.
And that was John Munson. So now we're going to do questions, is how this works. Thank you again to John Munson for being on the podcast. I don't know why I did this. This is these come from the subreddit r/Carscast. And this first one comes from SciHots9292, and it is, how do you choose which questions to answer?
That's kind of meta.
I know. We chose your question.
Yeah, whatever
So,
you did, you did it right.
You did it right. I honestly, I'm the one that chooses them. And it's usually stuff that's seems like it would make for a good discussion rather than just a one answer. I do try to stay away from too many like specific film related questions. Anything that makes us have to pull open Letterboxd and like search through, because I think that just leads to a lot of dead air. And I think it like, I like it when we just have like a genuine answer right off the bat.
Dead Air sounds like an awesome name for a film.
Dead Air for like a podcast.
It's like a zombie movie taking place on a plane.
Or that too. That's Dead Air. Wow.
Yeah. The pilot's a zombie.
Yeah.
And he somehow is flying the plane.
Yep.
And he's the only one who knows how to fly the plane, but he's a zombie.
My God, a zombie movie on a plane? That'd be crazy.
I mean, because where would you hide?
Right. That's what I'm saying. The stakes get
so you need to have the door to the cabin closed and the zombie's in there, but he's the one who's the pilot who knows how to fly.
Have you ever seen Train to Busan? Because that's a zombie movie on a train, but that's like a big mega train, so there's a lot more leg room.
Yeah.
Like there's more to work with there. I think a plane, that's tough. That's there could be a cool parachute scene. Yeah, we'll figure that out. But that's my thought process of answering questions. I do like even random stuff like it's not even like what's your favorite fruit? Like I'm like sometimes that's like a hit or miss because I'm like that's just a one word answer. I don't know what we would say.
I mean, we have discussions about it though, because for some reason you think star fruit's the best fruit, which is just ridiculous.
This is what they know about me. Yeah,
that's just your favorite shape.
Star fruit guy.
It's the best fruit.
Yeah,
because you think stars are the best shapes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's that answer to that question about questions. This next one comes from Roller Skate Butterfly, and it is, what is one movie that would benefit from being turned into a musical? Now I said I was going to avoid letterbox questions that would, but Whiplash as a musical, because it's already like halfway there, and
that would ruin all the intensity of the movie. J.K. Simmons like having to do like a big singing number.
Yeah.
I don't think I would find him very intimidating after that.
No. That's the thing about this is like I feel like a lot of movies would benefit not being a musical, but it doesn't happen the other way around. Musicals? That were musicals. Like if it wasn't a musical, honestly, In the Heights, if it didn't have some of those like really long songs, would cut its runtime. There would be that. I think now this is only because I just put out a video about David Lynch, and I've been watching a lot of his movies, but I'm like, I would love to see a David Lynch musical. I think he would make a really fun one. I don't know. That's a tough question. Big honk.
What about Morbius?
Morbius.
I'm the science vampire, but also a doctor.
Like a Lin-Manuel style musical about Morbius, like rapping. That'd be so bad. And last one comes from CC Baxter. What?
No, just the Morbius the musical.
And this is for you, Jeff, but it's about me. It's what, according to Jeff, is a big fat Karsten Runquist moment. Like what would you?
Yeah, what do you do that is a Karsten Runquist moment?
Yeah, what's a Karsten Runquist moment in your eyes? Because everyone has a different definition of this.
See, there's a few, like, because you do a lot of like very endearing things, where you'll like, I love it when you just mispronounce random words.
Man, I mispronounced so many words. When I hosted bar trivia, I mispronounced a very crucial word, and everyone was like, "What?" And I was like, "Oh no!"
Wait, I'm gonna guess the word.
Here.
I'm gonna guess the word you mispronounced. Diaspora.
No, that would be better because it's like that. I don't know that's not. It was like
Which
a
word was it?
common. I don't remember, but it was like a common word that I did not get, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Fuck, this is embarrassing." I'm not good at pronouncing words or names, but
Which, you're good at other things.
yes, we all have our
Not
weak
everyone
spots.
can be good at
That's-
everything.
Yeah. What is that a Karsten Rundquist moment?
Yeah, I think
that is honestly, I feel like if I make like a typo in a review or in a video or or mispronounce something in a video, people are like Karsten Rundquist moment. It's like, it's just when I do a little goof.
Yeah.
So, those are our questions. Thank you guys. Next we want to get into our wrap up, starting with the movie next week, which is no movie. Next week is going to be our advice episode, our second advice.
Now, we have
episode.
already recorded this, so please do not
Yes.
send any questions for it.
No, but for the future, just keep an eye. If you want to know when we're going to be doing these again, you should follow me on Instagram at Karsten Rundquist.
And follow me on Instagram
follow
too,
Jeff.
at Jeffrey Borslow. And also follow the Karstcast.
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 As Karstcast. But I'll be posting the questions.
Yeah, Karsten will be posting the
story.
actual. Yeah. Follow me as well. I need followers.
Yeah, but you should follow
very
Jeff.
Uncool.
You need to. No, Instagram. I think it's very cool. I've been telling you. Jeff.
Oh, you know what? I just reminded myself this moment that I took really dumb promotional photos for bird dogs as like a sponsorship bit.
You should send them.
I have not posted them.
You should post.
I got to. I don't know. Maybe I'll do it on the Karstcast account.
Yeah, I need to take some as well, to be honest. But yeah, that's next week. Next we like to read a review because we love hearing what everybody has to say about the podcast
and about Karsten and his great hair,
and about Jeff and his cool clothes.
I mean, this is not that cool. This is just a quarter zip.
I think
it's kind of cold. The thing is, nice. I just am a fan because I have a long neck, so I like zipping quarter zips all the way up. Yeah.
So, no, I think it looks cool. I think that's like kind of Nordic, is zipping it all the way up.
100%. Yeah, or Russian even.
This one
comes Russian tracksuit.
Yeah, this one comes from Isaac, spelled with EYE 221 from Canada. And funny enough, the subject line is certified Karstcast moment, 5 stars, and it reads, very bold of acclaimed internet thank you enthusiast and Packer Jeff to start a movie podcast with Christian or whatever his name is. But jokes aside, this is probably my favorite podcast. I've been in the community for the last 2 years and even chatted with Karsten and Jeff, very cool dudes. Got me through the pandemic in some ways, and it's a part of my Monday routine, and I can't recommend the cast enough. #Pilots2 at 1 million. If you hit 1 million, would you make Pilots 2, Jeff?
If I hit 1 million subscribers,
yeah, would you make Pilots 2?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If that was the impetus for people giving me 1 million subscribers, absolutely.
Thank you, Isaac. And lastly, we want to thank the patrons over at patreon.com/Karstcast. The best place to go to support us if you want to get some cool perks while supporting us at the same time. I need a water. Oh no, I left it in the other room. Well, here we go.
Oh, this is tragic.
This is gonna be interesting. Whew. Thank you. Oh, you get exclusive bonus episodes, Q&A shots at the end of every episode, and Zoom hangouts, which we just did today. It was a ton of fun. Thanks.
Yeah, it was a great Zoom hangout.
Everyone for coming out.
10 billion was back in the GeoGuessr game.
Back in GeoGuessr, it was great. Thank you, Alex Thomas, Anson Contreras, Big Beard Pirate, Camilla Coop, David Borslow, David Sir, Eden, Eli Brow, Finn Richardson, Gavin Gibson, Goodnight Tail, Grant Gow. I can finally be happy once John Munson is on the pod. Guess what? We got him on the pod. Jaden Easton, John Van Hout, Joshua Hughes, KDT. Let's change the Google search results for PTA. Levin, I will keep changing this. Liv Rob, Lul Hottie, Luke Warm, Maddie Robertson, Martin Deff, Mary Lee Borslow, Maxine Schmidt, Meridian, Michael, Monopoly Shrimp on the Barbie, Monroe Page, Nathan Worley, Owen Felton, Pasta, Pete Sethanant, Queen of Staten Island, Riley Ost, Ryan M, Stella Perry, Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, Meteor Urban, Jagerman Jensen, Taylor Hearts to watch the movie, 10 billion, the raccoon from Airbud's 7th inning fetch, Vigard Strum, Wes Kinley, Wiley Todd, Yusef A, Zachary Fritz, Zoinks, and Zoe Hernandez McDonald. Those are some new names in there. Welcome, everybody.
And also, that was a pretty solid read.
All things considered, I got through it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I also would like to say there's a lot of names in there that I've never seen in a patron hangout, and I think you guys should come. It
is very fun.
Like we
usually try to do them on Saturday or Sunday,
yeah,
around like early afternoon Central Time. So it kind of works for everyone unless you're in Australia.
It's a lot of fun. Jeff, do you want to know something really gross? By the way,
I guess so.
Really gross. Remember when you made me? You didn't make it for me, but I made that coffee the last time we recorded an episode in person here.
Yeah.
I have not drank that coffee. It's actually been sitting on this desk all week.
Oh, did you drink it?
No.
Good. Yeah, good. Don't do that.
It looks like it, yeah. Anything to say?
Carson Runquist, I had a great time with you in Chicago.
Yeah.
And then I'm still in Chicago, but we couldn't record this one together.
It's a shame it got kind of cut short. I'm not gonna lie.
No, but I'll be back to hang with you. Yeah, so I'll catch you on the flip side, Karsten, and I'll catch everyone listening on the flip side probably.
Catch you on the flip side.
Flip side.